Okay, welcome to your first set of notes. If you are doing this on paper, please make sure you have the heading, including the concepts, and set your paper up so it looks like this. You guys have done Cornell notes plenty of times, hopefully, so you know that the topic kind of goes on the left-hand side. The details go on the right-hand side. This is the bulk of the information. If you are typing it, same thing. When you put the topic, it's just going to be a few words and you're going to have more words. So you're going to have to learn to use the Enter key to create some blank lines so everything lines up like it does on my notes. Regardless, please make sure you have your name, date, and period up at the top here. You should have a place for that. Okay, here we go. So the first thing we're going to talk about is principal. Now, everybody thinks that principal is the person hanging out in the main office getting, calling parents or whatever. But in this case, it is a completely different word. So on the left-hand side, you need to write principal. It is a noun, meaning it's a person, place, or thing. In this case, it's a thing. And it's spelled P-A-L. And the way you can remember is that pal, because money is your friend. Yay, whatever. So principal can be one of two things. It's money, but it's money that you lend. Lend, of course, is a verb to a borrower. Or it can go the other direction. It can be the money that you borrow. Again, borrow is a verb from a lender. So regardless of which way it's going, you're lending it or you're borrowing it, it is the money that is being lent or borrowed. Stop the video and make sure you copy my notes. So now we're going to talk about interest. Interest is also a noun. It's a thing. But interest is the money that you receive from a bank or a borrower. So if you deposit your money into the bank, your principal, you will receive some interest from the bank. Or if you lend your money to a borrower, you will receive some interest from the borrower. It can also go the other direction. If you borrow money, you have to pay interest. So it can also be the money that you pay the interest to the bank or to the lender. Notice on these, we don't say the principal and the interest. We just use it without the principal and interest. Again, pause the video and copy. Okay, now we're going to talk about the people that are involved in this lending and borrowing things. So the lender is the person. Again, it's a noun, person, place, or thing. And it's the person, or it could be a party, and it's usually a bank, that actually lends the money. Get it? They're a lender. And if you think about it, if you put the after something that a person does, it becomes that thing. For example, a painter is a person who paints. A writer is a person who writes. In this case, a lender is a person who lends. The lender is going to be the person or party who receives interest. So if you lend money to someone else, you should receive interest. If you borrow money from someone, you are the borrower, and you're the person that borrows money. So you're going to be the one who pays interest. Please stop and copy. A loan is another noun. A loan is the actual thing that it's when you borrow or lend money or principal. I'm going to get a loan or I'm going to lend a loan. Okay, so a lot of people use the word lend and loan interchangeably, and that's actually not correct because it gets really confusing and it sounds kind of wonky. Oh, that's my dog. Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's okay. People will get it, but it's really not that great to use loan as a verb. I'm going to loan him some money. It's okay, but it's confusing. The thing itself is a loan. So don't use loan as a verb. You want to use it as a noun. Okay, so use it as a verb, meaning an action, to lend people money, and use the word loan as the actual thing. Okay, so where do banks come into all this stuff? So it's kind of weird to get your head around, but banks allow people to deposit their money into the bank, and then the bank pays interest to the depositors. essentially, you guys as customers are lending your principal, money that you have, to the bank. And then in exchange, the bank's saying thank you to you. You will receive some interest from them. So I don't know how many of you have a savings account, but you're probably receiving a little tiny bit of interest. On the other hand, banks can also lend money to the customers. Customers borrow principal from the bank and they have to pay interest. Your parents may have gotten a car loan or a mortgage and they've borrowed money from the bank and they have to pay interest. I know I'm repeating a lot, but this is the foundation of the whole semester. So make sure you get your head really clear on who lends, who borrows, who pays interest, who receives interest. To help you out, here is a nice little graphic for you. Here's you've got some money, you decide to deposit your principal into the bank. The bank says thank you to you by paying you some interest. You deposit your money into the bank, you have lent your principal to the bank, and they have said thank you by paying you some interest. Now, if you're doing the other thing, if you're borrowing money from the bank, you are borrowing principal. That's a loan. And you have to say thank you to the bank by paying them some interest. Get really comfortable with this flow of money on this half and this half because you're going to be working with it quite a bit in the near future. Okay? Thanks. Make sure you submit to Schoology.